Good morning, my name is Andhira Shafirly Gardesi and welcome to my paper presentation. I'm here to tell you about the result of my research which is titled The Effect of Sustainability in the Beauty Industry to Consumers' Purchase Intention. So, without any further ado, let me begin. Firstly, I'm going to walk you through the presentation outlines and these are the points that I will further elaborate later throughout this section. Now I will start with the introduction. Over the last 2 decades, the global beauty market has shown significant growth and the beauty industry is going stronger than ever. The beauty industry, otherwise called cosmetics and toiletries or personal care products, has demonstrated its capacity to reach stable and continuous growth, as well as its flexibility and resiliency in facing critical economic circumstances. The number here acts as the proof that the industry's growth is looking promising, especially its worth projection in the future. In recent years, consumers are demanding more transparency from their beauty brands and they are becoming more aware of the responsibility of the beauty brands towards sustainable practices. According to Kaysen, there is an urgency for beauty brands to adopt sustainable practices since beauty consumers are not only focusing on innovative products but also on sustainability and inclusion matters. This leads us to problem identifications, which are first, many brands have tried to be genuine and honest with their sustainable practices. Consumers are more skeptical than ever, and they tend to not believe in any environmental claims. Consumers tend to hold on to their value when they are shopping, as there is a positive relationship between environmental attitudes and behaviors. And third, the environmental and social behavior of at least known brands should affect an individual preferences when opting for the replacement of their products. Beauty products from brands that do not use vegan ingredients or provide wide range of skin colors will not be bought by consumers who are environmentally and socially conscious. This author's papers was basically the guidance for me in conducting this research. So, the research question for this paper would be how truthful do the sustainability of beauty companies affect consumers' purchase intention of beauty consumers, who are said to be concerned about sustainability and demand for more transparency. Next, I'm going to present the literature review. There are 4 variables that is of interest in this research study, which are purchase intention, habitual behavior, brands' responsible behavior toward the environmental and social issues or their CSR, and also income. To begin with, the first variable, which is purchase intention, is basically the willingness of an individual to purchase a certain product and or brand, and when a consumer intends to become involved in a purchase transaction. The second variable, which is corporate social responsibility or CSR, is according to Carroll, involved the conduct of business that is economically profitable, law-abiding, ethical, and socially supportive. The third one, habitual behavior, is defined as a conservative force that encourages reply of past behavior in future and consumption according to Wood and Neal. And the last one, which is income, is that individuals with income higher than average tend to consume healthier diets, meaning they are willing to spend more on healthier alternatives for food and consider organic products when they are shopping. After knowing the variables, a conceptual framework and hypothesis were then developed. The conceptual framework illustrates what I expected to find through this research. It defines the relevant variables for my study and maps out how they might relate to each other. To better understand the conceptual framework, a hypothesis development was carried out. There are three total of hypotheses that was set to be tested out for this research. H1, which is the hypothesis 1, is the better the brand sustainability behavior, the stronger the individual's purchase intention. H2, the more frequent number of purchases made by individual, the more likely it diminishes the relationship between the brand sustainability behavior and the individual's purchase intention. And lastly, H3, the higher the income of the individual, the more it enhances the relationship between the brand sustainability behavior and the individual's purchase intention. Next is the methodology of this research. This research study used a quantitative method through online questionnaire based on survey method. Its targeted population were individuals who are Indonesian and are routinely using beauty products on their daily basis. Moreover, this research aimed for at least 100 respondents so that the result can be validated to a certain extent. For the data analysis, the main one was moderated regression analysis since the framework required a moderating approach. And in order to carry out this analysis, there were other analyses that were done beforehand, such as reliability analysis, factor analysis, correlation analysis, and multiple regression analysis. Moving on to the questionnaire that I conducted for the purpose of carrying out this project. There were a total of 27 questions, and it was divided into 4 sections, which are demographic, habitual behavior, and purchase intention. Sales are related and also purchase intention. The questions, starting from the habitual behavior, were in the form of statements, and respondents were required to decide to what extent they agree or disagree with the statements using a 5-point Likert scale. Each question was symbolized so that it would be easier for later analysis, and I will show you some of its examples. Respondents were required to fill an agreement section and criteria fulfillment before filling the survey. So these are the examples of the items within the habitual behavior variable. And we're going to the results of both survey and data analysis. I will start with the survey first. In total, there were 282 respondents that participated in the survey. However, 9 people failed to pass the criteria of fulfillment. Therefore, only 273 responses were used for further analysis. Here's the demographic results. There are 5 variables in total, which are gender, age, highest education, current employment status, and also income. The respondents were mainly women and within the age range of 18 to 24. The majority of the respondents have or is currently pursuing their bachelor's degree, and most of them are currently students. And this is the last variable, which is income. On the survey, it was in the Indonesian currency because it suited most for the targeted sample. This next one is the data analysis, and there were 5 analyses that were done. Here are they. For the first 2 analyses, the outcome variable that measured individuals' willingness to alter their purchasing habits were not conducted on both analyses since it was already one same variable, which is purchase intention, due to the same scaling systems. And I will start by explaining the results from conducting a reliability analysis using Cronbach alpha for predictive variables, habitual behavior, and also CSR. The purpose of this analysis is to measure the internal consistency, how closely related a set of items are as a group. It is to be noted that the rule of thumb for Cronbach alpha to be accepted is that if it is higher than 0.6. For habitual behavior, its Cronbach alpha is 0.7. So therefore, it is considered high and also acceptable. None of the items within the habitual behavior variable should be deleted. However, for Cronbach alpha, for one variable, which is Q21, was removed and excluded from the sample. Therefore, it resulted in a higher Cronbach alpha, which is 0.652. Conclusion is that there is a consistency among the items of both for habitual behavior and CSR variables within the targeted samples. Moving on to the next analysis, which is the factor analysis using principal access factoring for predictor variables, habitual behavior, and CSR. This was conducted with the purpose of identifying underlying factors with the set of both groups of variables with the purpose of reduction of variables for the regression analysis that is carried out later on. The findings are, for habitual behavior, there were 3 extracted factors that may form the habitual behavior. I didn't put them into names because many variables are within the same factor, so we'll see the reason the reason why on the next analysis. And for the CSR, the 6 variables were reduced into 2 factors, which is ethics and also knowledge. The next analysis, which is the correlation analysis using Pearson's correlation method, is to check if there are unusual correlation among the predictor variables. And the findings are there is multicollinearity, which is that the 3 factors were highly linearly related. They have a high correlation within the underlying factors of habitual behavior. Therefore, factor 1, factor 2, and factor 3 were reduced or grouped as habitual behavior due to the multicollinearity. After conducting the previous analysis, a multiple regression analysis was executed to check the efficacy of the model itself. The analysis includes a dependent variable named purchase intention and the other 4 predictor variables, which were income, habitual behavior, ethics, and beauty knowledge. Findings showed that turns out within the Indonesian consumer, the model only affects the purchase intention by 21.1%, and this considered to be low. The predictor variables, habitual behavior, ethics, beauty knowledge, and income, only have an effect of 21.1% on the dependent variable, which is purchase intention. Ethics is the only variable that predicts any variance in purchase intention at a significant level, while others didn't manage to do so. After testing the efficacy of the model with the multiple regression analysis, a different regression analysis was carried out, which was moderated regression analysis. The aim for this analysis was to check whether or not there's a moderating effect from predictor variables, habitual behavior, and income to the relationship between brand CSR and also purchase intention. Findings indicate that the outcome variable was predicted by all predictors, with 21.4% of the variance in consumer purchase intention can be attributed to the predictors in the model. Ethics was the only variable that significantly predicted overall purchase intention, with significant levels at 0.1. Neither income, habitual behavior, nor beauty knowledge managed to predict the overall purchase intention. And none of the interactions between the predictor variables and the moderator variables are statistically significant, even at 2 levels. These lead us to the hypothesis testing. And as it is presented, only one hypothesis was confirmed or accepted, which is the first hypothesis. The remaining 2 hypotheses were rejected for the targeted sample. Finally, the conclusions. To repeat the research question, it was how truthful does sustainability of beauty companies affect consumers' purchase intention of beauty consumers who are said to be concerned about sustainability and demand for more transparency? So firstly, Indonesian consumers do have ethical values with regard to social environment issues and would implement this when purchasing for beauty products in order to make sure of their core values. The second would be consumers' frequent or habitual buying behavior seems to have no moderating effect on this relationship, and also the level of income have no moderating effect on this relationship. Last but not least, the limitation of and further future development. For limitation, there is a limited time and also a sample. And for the future development, it would be a more diverse sample, and also for my personal development is to give more focus on this research and also explore the area or of scope of the research in a more in-depth analysis. And that concludes my presentation. Thank you for your attention.